Good morning, people. How are you all doing? I am Kavitha, founder of Tots and Moms Foods, and we are on a live session where we have invited the founder of Shumee Toys. This session is all about toys. The community is of a group of parents, and obviously, we are all worried on how much to buy. Is it sufficient? Is it necessary? Every time we go to a store, this question will always be there. Will my child continue to use it after 2 3 days? Because the boredom is at heights with children. They do not like to repeat things, and hence this session is going to be helpful to you, to me, and to the community. So let's add on Meeta for more of the information that we need here. So hi
Hi,
Meeta,
Kavitha.
thanks for joining
Thanks
in.
for having me here. Quite excited to be doing this live session with you.
Exactly, same feeling, and I'm sure the community is happy that we are making a video on this all together, because I was telling in the introduction part of this video, we all have this worry on how to engage our children. You pay so much, buy, get it into the house. For a while, they are so engaged, curious,
Yeah.
excited, they will use it, and just immediately, not even a day more, a few more minutes, and they are done
Yeah.
with it. They are so bored so quickly. And how much can you keep investing in toys that are so expensive is the major worry. So, we are all hoping we get good answers from you. And welcome. I over to you now to introduce yourself, tell about your brand
Sure,
before we jump
Kavitha.
into the
Thank you
topic.
so much. And yeah, I totally understand the pain that all of us feel as a parent, and especially to keep our kids meaningfully engaged in these early years. Especially there's so many screens around, there's so many distractions. So, but we as a parent are really playing a crucial role in making it a much more meaningful engagement for a child when they are little, and those are the learning years for a child, right? So that's the philosophy that we follow at Shumee. We want to empower the child. So the main philosophy we follow is that every toy should be 90% child and 10% the toy. It should be the child who drives the play and not the toy. So the toy has to enable certain things, but the child should then build a world of his or her own. And when you give this empowerment to the child will not get bored. So the child will want to explore more. The child would want to come back to the toy mode, would want to do different things. So that is the whole philosophy that we follow at Shumee. And Shumee has been a brand which has existed for the last 7 years, and we have been yeah. Thank you. And
Amazing.
it's been a lovely journey, Kavita. It's been a journey for me to also learn a lot about this space, learn. Yeah, so I think we
Exactly.
every day evolve here at Shumee, because it's not that we know it for all. We are also learning on this whole journey, and in this, and learning what the struggles of our parents also can be in this different age, and that is also evolving. Like COVID taught us a lot of things, right? COVID changed how we think about, and when gave us more time with the kids, and then we also as parents, we saw that we were more mindful about a lot of things, and it has made a good shift in the mindset for most of us. So those things were there. So I think it's been a wonderful journey. We have a big portfolio of toys for kids from 0 to 6 years. But the main other philosophy that we subscribe to, Kavita, is that less is more. You don't need a toy every 1 week or every 1 month. You can have a toy. Yeah. So
Exactly.
and which typically will go against a brand like us, right? We would want to sell more, but we would, but uh, but for us, I
No,
think
I
one thing
know.
that we,
See,
yeah,
we have to be conscious as parents. The best part of parents becoming
yes,
entrepreneurs is we are not sale oriented. Definitely for survival, our business has to do good. But again, if somebody is buying any food product from us, I clearly
yeah,
tell them, don't shelve it up. Buy it as and when you need. You will
yeah,
get as fresh as possible. See, in turn, if they were buying more, it
yeah,
would be beneficial for me. So you are also
yeah,
consciously doing this and telling your audience, telling your customers. So this is why parents love brands like this, which come from parents as entrepreneurs, and parents turning entrepreneur will add on more value to
yes,
brands like this. So thank you so much for telling about your brand. I am in love with your toys. I must tell you, there is one triangular Shumee toy which I had actually not bought. I was
yeah,
not the first user. My child was not the first user. It
okay,
was a second hand toy. Let me tell you, You would have put it from the duplex house we were staying so many times and
Yeah.
still survived. So I love the quality of
Thank
your
you.
product. Kudos
Yeah.
to the effort you put in and the
Yes.
multi-dimensional activity that my child could put in with that
Yeah.
single toy was amazing. So let's dive into
Yeah.
the topic right away. And my first question is, there are so many things around understanding what a toy is. So there are so many jargons that we come across on blogs and in videos, but let us break it down. What do you have to tell about
Yeah.
close-ended and
So,
open-ended toys?
yeah. So I think what I would like to add here, like play is the superpower of a child, right? So whenever you give the child something to play with, the child would be learning something or the other from in that play. But the play, the different kind of play, like an open-ended play or a closed play, at both at the same time are teaching something to your child. So I would say
Yeah,
that yeah, there are
please go on.
two kind. I mean, play through play, a child learns a lot of things, and there are different kind of play that a child does. One is an open-ended play, which is facilitated by open-ended toys. So in an open-ended play, the child has no fixed outcome. The outcome is decided by the child while the child is playing. And it might change in the next 10 minutes when the child starts playing, right? So it is completely child oriented, where there'll be no thing that if you put this, then something happens, or if you have to meet an end goal. That is not the aim of an open-ended play or an open-ended toy. So there, the child is the deciding factor, and in that, the child is learning a lot of things. Creativity is getting enhanced. Their exploration, their discovery, problem solving, because there also maybe encounter some roadblocks, or they might understand how do I go through it. And good examples of open-ended toys would be like dolls, plush toys, blocks, your blocks, and then small pretend play toys. Like if you give a cooking set, they might be cooking a feast for the whole family, or they might be doing a small dinner, or they might be doing different things, but they are doing using their imagination while they're doing it. Blocks. When you give them blocks, I mean, that block might be a building at one point, it might be a boat at the next point, but they are trying to figure out how do I put these few things together to make something that I am imagining. So that is what open-ended toys are, and that is and open-ended toys help in all the skill buildings with which the kids grows with, and it has a larger impact on the child. Versus closed toys also have an importance in the child's life because they have an outcome that you're trying to achieve. For example, puzzles. They would be closed toys because puzzles where you have to put those two pieces together and you form one some drawing or something, whatever.
There is no
Yeah,
different
there
way
are no
to play
yeah.
it. There is only
So there's
one
only
way
one
that
way
you
you
can.
can put the closed toys, like even a puzzle, it is a closed toy, but if you can design the puzzle in a multi-dimensional way, where the child can then make more than one thing over there, so that becomes an open-ended toy. So it's the way you approach the toy that you can add multi-dimensional factors. For example, you mentioned the activity triangle. For us, those are 5 activities in one toy. So there's 5 kind of explorations. While each activity might have an end to it. For example, if you, it may or may not in that toy, but in that toy, it is more open-ended than that. But like we are right now designing a puzzle set where it is a cube, a puzzle cube with small pieces, and there you can have a lot of puzzles which will come in together, and you can, those small pieces create structure. So again, that's the other thing that we at Shumee think about is how to take a closed toy, keep it also a closed play, but also make it open-ended at the same time. In that case, what happens is that the parent doesn't have to keep thinking on what toy should I get next, and the child doesn't get bored easily. So in an open-ended play, the boredom is less compared to a closed toy, and that is the benefits of doing an open-ended toy in play.
That's the first and best advantage is what I also feel because at one end, you know, your child for long, and the
Yeah,
other end, you know, you don't have to spend again
yeah.
and again. Okay, so the next question is how are open-ended toys beneficial in kids'
Yeah.
development? Partially you have answered, but maybe straight to the point if you
So I think open-ended play helps the child discover a lot. They create, they imagine. If you remember, Kavitha, when we as growing up would have had more open-ended play than what our kids have right now. It's also maybe because how we as parents have evolved, or this like the environment has evolved, that we think that we need to give a structure to a child after a certain point. But when you give them no structure and when you say that, okay, you are the master of your play, so that point they are thinking, oh, what can I do next? How do I handle this? What is my, for example, in most of the summers my kids used to have, they would just put bed sheets on two chairs and then it would become a tent for them, and then they had a whole pretend play happening. Yes, pretend
They
play,
do
but
that.
that would keep them engaged for hours.
I think it was a switch in between. Now people are more interested in giving children an open-ended idea-related play than just giving up
Yeah,
a lot of cars and other things. I think in between this happened, but the switch is nice. Especially
yeah,
post-COVID, there has been a lot of understanding with it, to let them play the way they want. Otherwise, a lot of purchases of tents and other
yeah.
things that you're talking about, that there was no creativity of child that was
Yeah, so
touched
there
upon.
again, you just give them a limited set of things, right? And tell them this is what you have, go and figure it out. So, and they will figure it out. They surprise us in the most,
One is they figuring it out, or
yeah.
the dependency is high. They
Yeah,
want us to
yeah.
be
So
with them all the
that
time.
that is quite liberating, in the open-ended scenario for the child and for the parent. So because the parent can also see more development happening, like they'll figure it out, they'll come back, they'll ask questions, they will want to know more. The curiosity also gets developed, the creativity gets developed. So there are a lot of benefits and development, and social and emotional development also happens, right? Because you would be playing with your peers, you will be talking to your parents, you will be expressing yourself. So a lot of multi-dimensional development happens, and it's a good development for the child.
Correct. So, cognitive functionality is also something that most of the parents think about. It's not just how to engage them physically so that they do their own their work. Most of the parents are working from home. It is not just to engage them, it is also
Yeah.
to ensure your child is learning. And this is something that is on with open toys. And now let's dive into another huge topic altogether. The next question is tips on choosing age
Yeah, so
appropriate
I think
toys.
the tips on choosing age appropriate toys is that we should understand what can a child do. Like, for example, when a baby is born, right? At that time also they are doing a lot of play around them, which is called uh, unprompted play, or so they're, I mean, when they're kicking their legs and hands, so there is play happening for the child, but we don't classify it as play. So how do we enhance this sensory and that motor development that is happening? By maybe doing a play gym for the child, where they have the hanging toys which attracts them, which makes them make those movements and understand them. So it, at that age, it's more about sensory development. So the toys should aid in the sensory development for the child in the very early months of the child's existence. So, and post that, once they are able to sit, their motor skills, their hands, their fingers start developing. And I think some of this we do understand as parents. So we just need to align to see what is the development my child is going through. Are they now trying to use their muscles more? So when they're using their muscles more, so you need to give them toys which will help them build those muscles, right? So small blocks which they can hold, or small balls that they can clutch to. So all those things is when they're ready to now make that grip and sit. And then at the same time, they are trying to develop their leg muscles, so help them in their tummy time, help them put toys which will attract them and make them move forward. So those kind of skills develop. And when they grow like 9 months and 12 months and above, so at that point, their basic problem solving skills and recognition starts developing. So you can give them simple sorters at that time. So nothing fancy, but a very simple rainbow stacker kind of toy, where they can just take those rings and put it in. So it's a fine motor skill being developed. It's a color recognition they are trying to see. So you can start talking to them at that point about different things and then do it. So there's all those cognitive abilities also start developing at a faster rate at that point. And as they move further, those problem solving skills become more and more complex. I mean, they can take up more complex. So you can start introducing simple 4-piece puzzles, for example, or blocks which they can put together. So we as inherently have can see what the child is developing to next, and it should also be a little cue taken from the child, right? Where and every child develops at a different stage also, right? It's not that every child will start walking at 9 months or 1 year. It can happen at 15 months also. So at seeing,
Interrupting you here, and another thing that I can add on and understand is every child is different. Just because there is a age line mentioned, it doesn't mean it will suit your
yeah,
child. You
yeah,
also have to do your research and understand your child, and then align it with what the
yeah,
toy has to offer and decide
yeah.
if it is needed for your child. And then buy on. Hereby ensuring the usage is high and
Yes, yes. So I
wastage is
think you have to
less.
take the cue from your child basically. So, and also as they grow a little older, their interest develops, right? So your toys should also be around the interest. Some may like music more, they might like art more, they might like cooperative, collaborative play more. So you have to take that kind of a cue. So you cannot, I mean, your child is your best uh, leader on that, just to give you the ideas on what can be possibly done.
Correct. Well said, Meeta. So, I mean, again and again, we are telling on these, but in depth, let us get your answer. What role do toys play in terms of brain
So
development?
the toys act as facilitators for the play that a child goes through. So it's a play that is helping the child learn a lot of things, develop. So, and how can that play? I mean, and the toy is adding to the play element, right? Because the child needs something to play with. So so there you might give them a pretend play set, and at that time there's role playing happening. There's understanding dynamics between each other. There's a lot of social emotional development happening. So for us, it might, for a parent, it might just seem that, okay, they're just playing a small uh, cooking pretend play is happening over there. But in that process, the child is learning negotiation skills. They might be telling their friend that, okay, now my turn to cook this and you will eat this, or we will happen that. So in that, the toy is giving them a little bit of a world of their own, where they can create that world, and then they can have those conversations. They can do that. When you give a board game, so again, a board game, like, I mean, we all would have played Monopoly, right? So there's so many life skills we learn in Monopoly, and we understand that. So
Correct.
again, those things happen. In puzzles, again, how a right and a wrong can happen when you fit two pieces together. So there's again problem solving. You might fit one piece, it might not fit there. So there are things happening over there. So those things are small things from an adult point of view, but from a child's point of view, they are making a big difference in their
Exactly.
life, and they are building those skills, and those skills stay with them forever. So one thing I really believe in, that play is very important. It is important in a child's life, it is important in an adult's life, because we also, as adults, when we play something or we are in a more playful scenario, we learn more. So we are like more excited about it, we want to do more things. So those things happen for us as adults. So for at the child's level, you can imagine, because that's their only superpower they have at that point, right? So they are growing a lot through the play and toys.
Correct. Well said. As I also feel, we feel that it is just some learning, but for
Yeah.
child, it is the universe. And other thing I feel is at this point of time, are picking up so many, and we sometimes put that into a
Yeah.
very competitive field. So how is it that we can bridge a gap to not push our child to get highly competitive, break this game, then
Yeah.
I'll get you some other toy. So I feel that we are unnecessarily adding on to that competition. Somehow this came into my mind and I
Yeah,
want to know it
no, I
from you.
think it is true. I mean, again, we are inherently like, we are like, everyone is competitive in their own sense, right? And we, as parents, at some point, even try to translate that for our kids. But I think, like I said earlier, every child develops at their own pace. And when we give them that space and pace to develop, they, I think, it has a much better impact on the child's development than us driving that. For example, it's not only in India, but across the world, there's so much structure that we are trying to put into a child's life, right? That one class, then the other class, and then you're taking them, then you're planning this. After a point, we don't realize it puts a lot of pressure on us, and it's putting a lot of pressure.
Exactly. But in babies and kids, I think at least till third year or
So
fourth year, one doesn't
pressure,
have to
yeah,
be so pressurizing to their kids that they will involve everything, and every toy that a parent buys
yeah,
should be thinking on what you
so,
think that my child will become. If it is neat and
yeah.
calm and enjoyable way, that add on to
Yeah,
another
true. Because if you
learning.
keep it, a happier environment for them where there's no end goal that you're trying to achieve. They will find their own goal, right? They'll find their own journey, they'll find it. And those first few years is very important for the child to build a self-esteem also. But while if we are driving it for them, then their self-esteem, we don't realize, gets affected to some extent. And they have a life full of learning left ahead of them, right? So might as well just,
Exactly.
yeah. So I think
Competition
in
ahead.
these years, we should just set them up for that by letting it be a little bit more driven by them rather than driven by us. And every child will learn ABC, every child will learn 1, 2, 3. It's not that anyone gets left behind anywhere. So that happens. It might happen at a little different pace, but yeah.
And I love the range of toys that you have. All of them are eco-friendly. Can I ask you why eco-friendly
Sorry, Kavitha,
toys?
your voice is breaking. I could not hear you.
Why buy an
Uh,
eco-friendly toy? How does instead of, I mean, yes, it adds on to a benefit to the nature, but again, there should be some push from parents, and also for the child's well-being. When it is a personal attachment, then it is easier to
yeah.
parents to connect to it.
So,
So what is
when you
your
use natural materials, Kavita, it is the best for the child at every stage. For example, when you give a child a wooden rattle or a teether, so a teething ring, so which is made out of wood versus plastic or silicone, it's much more beneficial for the teething gums. I mean, if we like for us, for example, as Shumee, all our rattles are made out of neem wood. Neem has its own antifungal, antibacterial properties, and when you give it to the child, so it's helping the child in many ways, and it is safe for the child because you don't have to worry about toxins going inside the child's mouth, right? Because it is as safe as it can be. We use beeswax, so that's also as safe, or even we use natural oil in some of the toys, so there is nothing, no chemicals involved. And in these early years you want that to be a chemical free environment for the child because everything goes in the mouth, right? And most of the toys in plastic toys have like they do not have the safe materials to be used, so they can create a lot of damage for the child in a long run. So there can be lead in the paint, there can be PVC, so all those things, phthalates, so you have to avoid that. So one thing is for the safety of the child, then also the natural materials help the child also in their senses, right? There's a sensorial development happening when they are using natural materials. When they touch a wooden block or they see the texture, so there's a texture building the association also happening in their brain. So those things also help, and obviously it's very good for the environment. Why do we have to add to the plastic landfills in the world, which are growing at such a big rate? So these are small choices which will make a big impact for a child.
So we have a question from Shivani. Can toys help in reducing thumb sucking habit? Please guide. My daughter is 4.5 years now.
So I think, Shivani, I would not be an expert on that particular thing over here, but I think it can also be something where the child is looking for some emotional uh, connect, and maybe giving toys where the child can have a comfort. So because thumb sucking gives a feeling of comfort to the child, so enhancing the comfort for the child through maybe a plush toy or something where they can like associate a little bit or get that comfort feeling, so might help. But I would recommend for you to talk to the child, your pediatrician, and understand this a little bit more.
Okay. One simple counseling session should be helpful because thumb sucking most
Yeah.
stop by the age of 2 years. And in case they are do so, instead of doing or trying
Yeah.
any harsh methods, it is always good to talk to them because they are younger adults. They can understand if they can talk as well. Maybe a comfort thing that is missing or something that is there as a fear in your child. Please talk to the child. Be with your child more, and do not directly talk about thumb sucking. Stop it. It's not nice. It is dirty. Do it in a better way. Understand what is the concern of your child.
Yeah.
That way. I'm trying
Yeah. No.
to
No.
give that
Good.
question. Okay, and if there is anything else, do let us know. Meanwhile, I would want to know from you, what is this Shumee all about? So, is it Meeta? And
Yeah,
should
so
I
I
guess what
think
is
when we
Shu?
were thinking of this, it was me and my husband's names combination. So it's a brainchild of both of us. So we thought
Oh,
of naming it together, but it also means hobby in Japanese. So it's something that started as I was something which I was very passionate about, and I wanted to give it associate with that. Yeah.
want to say closing line. toys is something that is there with each and every child, and we as adults have enjoyed it. And even today, I see there are so many toys that come in, even mandala that come in for adults because it is calming, soothing. So, what is your closing line on toys? How
So
is it that you
I
want to
think
tell them?
I would just want to say that always, I mean, we as parents are there to empower this, I mean, journey of learning for our kids, but we should be very mindful about what we are trying to do for them and keep it as open-ended and as free and a healthy environment for the child to grow. And I think their play is their superpower. So let's focus on a play-based learning where we make it fun for them and we let them rule their world through play. And when we do that, they will learn a lot of things which will stay with them for life. So I think we should encourage our kids in the right direction and not worry about the kind of academic skills that are being developed. Those, they have a whole life to develop, and that will happen.
0 to 3 is the time when they are
Yeah.
developing very well on cognitive skills and functioning skills, etc. So that is the time when these toys, these sort of open toys, can be helpful for them. And let them be, let them just focus on being happy, enjoying it, and also some of them even help them stay calm, focused, and all those things are naturally happening. Let us not put extra focus or pressure on making competitive learning there, and that is again, as said, is going to happen in their whole life. So thank you so much, Meeta, for joining us on so
Thank you,
amazing.
Kavitha. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thanks,
Bye.
Meeta.
Bye.
Take care, all of you. Bye.